Hi there. All right, so I'm doing a reading here for Amanda's mother. I don't know your name, but I did appreciate the message you had about connecting with your energy. And so how it's done is that I simply know you're Amanda's mom, and I'm connecting with your energy. And here is your past life that we're going to read, okay? So how we're doing this is I'm going to take you through the place where you are in this past life, what you did with the majority of your time, an important day, another important day, the death of this life, and the lesson learned. And throughout, we're going to get a sense of the time period we're in. As well, your job is to make connections where you can, okay? So I'll help you with that throughout. Okay, so let's begin. First of all, we're starting off in Europe. Here's Europe, the card in Europe. And it's paired with this card, which typically means a wanderer, okay? And so what I'm seeing, the images and impressions I'm getting, is not that you're an adult yet. What I'm seeing here is a big influence of your life came largely from the period of time when you were young. And I see you not as a wanderer, but more so you're with your parents, so you're with a set of parents who move around a lot. And I get this feeling that your parents at one time had a lot of money, wealthy, hobnobbing with top people, and something occurred that made it so that you have to kind of move around from place to place. And I see you as a child here, and it's a young boy, in this life a boy, and I see you moving around with your parents. And the thing is when you go around, you're still hobnobbing with these well-to-do people, aristocracy, royalty, the very top of the top, because of your bloodline, because of your name. But something happened where, I want to say on your father's side, where all of the wealth of the family was lost. And so it's almost like you go around in the finest European places, the best cities, and you eat fine meals and all this when you're with these people who I guess are your friends, but more so it's about just the ties that they want to keep with your family's name. So that's what I'm seeing right now. And as far as the places go, we're talking about Western Europe. We're talking about, I want to say Spain. I want to say France. Like just the romantic cities, the powerful cities. And you know, or your parents know, the powerful people in these cities. And so, let's see what's going on. I'm just saying you stay with them as well. It's almost like you're homeless in this life, but it's impossible to be homeless with the name that you have, so to speak. So it's almost like the people that you stay with don't believe that the rumors that you are homeless. And there's also a sense of one of your parents not being able to return home to ask for help because of an ego issue. So basically, when I say make connections, what I want you to keep in mind is through this, as a child wandering around with the parents, not having a home, in this current life, you might be someone who craves so much to be settled and to have a permanent home base. You might like to stay at home. You might be someone who just wants to keep growing their home around them. Just not a hoarder really, but more like you just want to have things that show that you have a stable home environment and there's no rockiness and you're not going anywhere. So that's one way you can take it. Another way you can connect to this is instead you might be someone who enjoys mobility, who enjoys moving around, right? So you see, you can make connections in various ways. So that's what you want to do. All right, so let's move forward with the first important day. So on this day, this card, this is the war card. It doesn't always mean war. These cards are not always face value. So a war, it can be an internal war, an internal struggle, or it can be a war where you are physically a war. And so what I'm seeing here, it's paired with the friends card. So the relationships involved are friends, and the feelings involved here, this is the love card. So what's happening? Love does not always mean romantic, and in this sense, I don't feel like it does. But what I feel like what is happening here is that there's a lot of turmoil and unrest during this period of time in Europe where you are. I feel like we're seeing a lot of kind of government, political unrest, and it's affecting you in the way of crossing boundaries with your parents, almost like the places where you would normally go for safety at this time are being like blocked off by, like, for example, the Berlin Wall, how the Berlin Wall kept people on this side and this side, they couldn't cross, families were separated and divided. That's how I feel like this, what's happening here is there are boundaries being made politically, and in the governments and whatever is happening at this time, where all of a sudden those safe zones for you, all of a sudden you can't get there anymore. There are certain boundaries you can't cross anymore. So it's starting to become kind of stressful, a more stressful environment for your home. And I feel like this is the turn of a century feeling. I feel like this is happening around the 1900s, like when the 1800s crosses over to the 1900s. So the people that are, they're dressed very finely. This is very nice. Like your family travels with a wardrobe. Like they have a wardrobe that they put on to show their friends when they want to stay with them, that helps with those rumors that you're homeless. People don't believe it because you show up looking refined, looking fancy, looking perfect. So I feel like it's that time period as well. And like I'm feeling like it's not even where automobiles are quite happening yet. It's like automobiles are in the process of being put out there, if that makes sense. Like they are just beginning to be fashionable. So let's finish here. So at this time when there's boundaries being made, we're seeing the relationship with friends. Why the friends card is coming up is because at this point, this is a time when your parents' friendships are being dismantled because of the boundaries. So communication is being cut off. Where your parents would go and appear there because there's no home for them, so they go and they stay with these people, they're no longer able to appear, and they don't take the time to write letters to stay in touch. So that's where the friends come in. And I feel like as your parents' friendships are kind of breaking down, you on your own are making friendships. Almost it's like you are creating friendships with people who might not be as high up in their aristocracy, but you're making friendships with people who are smart, who are educated, who are worldly, these people you meet along the way that aren't necessarily tied in with your parents. So here it's almost like you're starting to have a life by your own. Almost not, it's not just because it's what you want. You're growing up here at this point. You're I want to say like well into your late teens at this point, which at this time in history is when people start their lives for real. They're not in high school like we are now. So but it's not just wanting to start your life, it's also a survival mechanism. When you realize you can see what's happening, you're going to see your parents might either need you or you might need to get away, so you can survive without them. So keep that in mind. If you have any issues in this current life, how you might want to connect this is currently in your current life, you may have issues with your own parents, or at one time had issues with your parents regarding wanting to either one, rebel, break out, make your own life, or on the other hand, you could have had that thing with your parents where you felt almost protective of them, overprotective, wanting to help them however you could, please them, take care of them, anything like that. So that might be the case. Now, as far as the love feelings go, that's why I'm feeling like it's not just survival for you. This love comes in for your parents, because you might not have understood what really happened with your parents, what arguments may have occurred with their parents that made them get cut off, whatever it was. There's a love you have for them, because no matter what, they have taken care of you. They've made sure that you had food on the table. In fact, you were a catalyst for them to keep going, because they did want to take care of you and keep you educated and keep you sleeping under safe roofs and eating food, right? So there's a love here, and I feel like it is more of a, you're surviving by making friends with these people, but you're also forming a base, a foundation of stability that will allow you to take care of your parents, as you see that that's what's happening now. So there's a transition happening here. So keep that in mind, that any transitions in your life you might find very stressful, but find yourself also quite capable of picking yourself up again. All right, so now let's go to the second important day. Now here we have Mother Nature card, and this can mean many things. It can mean tornadoes and hurricanes and all kinds of natural disasters. That's what it's meant for, this card. And it's paired with a spouse card. Here's the spouse card. And a card of happy, right? So I feel like what is happening here is, I'm trying to connect. Something is occurring here that allows for, so the walls being put up here, economically or politically, these walls, something happens with two neighboring countries that is a total disaster, something like a flood, like a flooding that can't be stopped by these walls. So let's say we have two countries and these huge tidal waves are coming in, and these floods are coming into the two countries, and it's almost like these two countries, they have to work together, and they better work together, or you're going to see mass problems. Like, people are going to die, be hurt, not be able to survive unless they work together. So it's almost like this natural disaster is bringing about a very good thing economically, or for everybody. It's bringing people together that usually would be on opposite sides, because they need to work together in order to save everyone. Otherwise, there's going to be a lot of problems. So I'm seeing something, I think it's like a flooding, a heavy flooding, almost like a dam broke down, like where a dam has been built, where it's meant to help with certain floodings like this during a certain season. Even this dam that was built broke down. I feel like it's something like, I want to say like Dutch, something Dutch or Amsterdam-y or Hollandy, like that area. There's something about that northern, like Western Europe. Okay, Western Europe at the top, and there's a couple of countries right here, and the flooding comes in. So that's what I'm being shown on like a map. It's like right in this northern area, and it feels Dutch for some reason. And so keep that in mind too. If you have any pull towards that kind of culture, the Dutch culture, if that ever has been interesting to you, keep that in mind. That maybe not, but just keep that in mind. And so what we have here is, it's really interesting, because I feel like here you actually, through this natural disaster, I feel like you're very, what's it called? Like, you're someone who volunteers to help others in need. Like, you have a really, really big heart. And through your efforts to help with this disaster that's occurring, you find your match, you find your partner in someone who is coming to help as well. This is a young woman who I feel like might even speak a different language than you, but you both speak one common language, and so it's not so much of a barrier, but you're from two very different places. And I want to say she's not anywhere near like aristocratic, but she's very like, so you have that bloodline. I feel like she's a commoner, but she is very smart and educated, and that is so valuable to you. So in your current life, I feel like intellect, wit, humor in a partner or in a friend is very, very valuable to you. Someone that can keep you someone that can keep you like not on your toes, but just not entertain, like, oh, entertain me, but just someone that's very interesting, who's knowledgeable and caring. Like, that's very important to you. It doesn't really matter who they are, how much money they have. What matters is their personality. And so there's this feeling of exuberance, of happiness, even though there's this disaster going on. It's being taken care of. It's a lot of work, but you can see such a positive thing come from the natural disaster. Not just the positive thing of bringing two nations together again, but also you're bringing, there's two partners being brought together. You're falling in love during this natural disaster, which is really an interesting concept. So, all right. So there's your life there. Let's go to the death. This is interesting because this is the murder card, which is really unique, and it's really interesting because immediately what I'm feeling is that you're not murdered for anything you've done in this life. In fact, I want to say you are a wonderfully loved person in this life. Someone comes and gets you for your parents' mistake. Someone blames you, or not blames you, they use you as a tool to hurt your family, to hurt your family's name. This person is very, I want to say, stuck in the past, and also stuck in a generation where it's okay to go ahead and kill someone's family because that'll make up for what the family did, something like that. And so it's almost like they wanted to score points kind of thing, and they get you, and I'm trying to see how it's done. So let's see what they do. Okay, so I'm feeling like it's almost like, okay, I'm getting like a dual feeling, like they had one plan in mind, but they decided it was too messy, like just a straight up, killing you like with a tool or object. And I feel like instead they relented to their second option, which I feel like was poison. And I feel like they poisoned you. And it's almost like at night, so you're sleeping and they go in and they poison something that you would have in the morning. I want to say like how we have coffee in the morning, you would have something in the morning, and they tainted it. And it was almost like it wasn't, I don't want to say it was immediate, but it took like a few days to just like erode your system. And so in this current life, what this can mean is that you might be very sensitive to certain things like caffeine. You might be sensitive to whatever it was that you drank or ate that was tainted. It might be affecting you today. And so it doesn't serve you in this life anymore. It comes from this. So keep in mind, if there's anything that you eat or drink that is sensitive to your stomach that isn't normally sensitive like for other people to have, like a sensitivity to caffeine or a certain kind of alcohol, like, the dark alcohols, or like something that is very specific, that could stem from this. You might have stomach issues and digestion issues, almost like your stomach doesn't trust what's going in. And if that's the case, just know it stems from this life, all right? And so the lesson here is a beautiful lesson. And it's something you learned early on, because this is the simplicity card, okay? So the simplicity card is actually something that your parents could have used in their life. They could have used it to give you a more stable kind of stable environment as a youth growing up, because they wanted to stay with their, like, it was so important to mingle with the finest and stay with, keep up with the Jones in a sense, and basically they were embarrassed. They were very embarrassed by what was happening in their life, so they pretended like it wasn't happening, and they did whatever they could, even if it meant moving around and not having a home environment for their kid and things like that. Even though they loved you very much, it was more important to them to stay up with the Joneses, whereas you realized, hey, this isn't really a true life. Like the true, like the good life is when you start making friends with people who care about you, who are invested in their own like intelligence, in their own education, not worried or concerned with climbing the ranks, but more concerned with learning and growing and evolving in their own right. And so you learn very early on that sometimes, the simple life, like the simple things in life, are the most valuable. And what really sealed the deal with this lesson was when you met your partner here. When this happened, the simple things in life, right here, this is a life or death situation. What's more simple than that? It's, hey, I want to live. And then through that, I'm in love. So it's about life and love. And I feel like that is really what I take away from this past life that you learned. And you learned it very well. All that matters is that you're alive and that there are people that love you and that you love them back. So there's your past life. Keep making connections. I hope you found that interesting, and I'm here if you have any questions, all right? Thanks for requesting a reading, and have a great day.